Welcome to this Prayer Spaces session on the theme of Advent and Christmas, Prayer Spaces. And so we're really delighted this time to welcome the team from Bracknell. I think Caroline is going to speak for them, but there's a whole team from Bracknell and George from Abergavenny. And we're going to be thinking about Advent and Christmas spaces. I'm handing over at this point to Naomi, who's going to just have a chat with the folks from Bracknell.
Hello, yes, tonight we are being joined by Caroline. I'm going to just spotlight Caroline as well. There we go. And Caroline is one of, well, there's a few of you now. There was four to start with, but Bracknell, Caroline, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone and tell us about your team and what you've been up to?
Yes, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Caroline from Bracknell. We have been involved with Prayer Spaces for about 2 years, following a few of us going to the Prayer Space tent at the Wildfast Festival and attending the seminar and becoming interested. And God has drawn together a number of us, which is really exciting. And so I've been asked to share this evening about a few different things. So Naomi, please interrupt me if you need to. But one of the first question was about how our prayer spaces work, sort of fits in with what we might have already been doing in schools. Well, our team at the moment, we all belong to the one church, though we are trying to reach out to others in our community and work with them as well from other churches. So really our schools work consisted just of our children's work of doing a few assemblies in 1 or 2 schools. So that's where it was sort of 2 years ago. But since then, we've obviously had opportunity to go in with prayer spaces, and we are also starting something this term, Christmas in a Box. We're looking at taking that into schools. We also have some links with TLG, Transforming Lives for Good, and we have people going in to work with individual children. So I'm sure I've not said everything, but there's various things going on with school, but our main focus has been prayer spaces. And last year we had the privilege of going into a couple of schools to do a Christmas prayer space. So that's obviously what we're particularly doing tonight. Now, we're very aware that we love doing what we're doing. It's a huge privilege. It's a huge privilege to share with you, and we're grateful to be invited tonight. But we certainly wouldn't call ourselves experts. We are fumbling our way through and having a lot of fun, and just have a real passion to bring God's love to children, really, and for children to have opportunity to pray and to find out about God. So
it's brilliant, Caroline. And I think
that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we would all say none of us are experts. We're all borrowing ideas from each other, upgrading our own ideas, nicking other people's ideas. And that's the whole point of prayer spaces in schools. It's a movement, and we are all learning and sharing and resourcing each other. So yeah. And you've done how many prayer spaces have you done already since you've been get going?
Oh, I don't know. We've certainly been into about 6 schools, 6 or 7 different schools this year. And we don't go into every school every term, but we've certainly been in several times. I don't know, Joey might be able to give us a more accurate number.
It must be almost pushing 20 by Christmas, isn't it? We've actually got 7 days before Christmas, so
Brilliant.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
Certainly have some experience. Don't knock it, ladies.
So can I just say, a lot of our source of inspiration has been through the wonderful resources on the Prayer Spaces website. I mean, they just spark our ideas and give us starting points. Sometimes we just do it exactly as it says, but we've really appreciated that as a resource. one of the questions was about trying to find a slot to go into schools, because obviously schools get really, really busy during the last few weeks of December. So I think the only thing we would say is that we start really early to book a space, certainly early September, or maybe even the end of July if you're looking in to go into a school for Christmas times. That certainly seems to have worked for us, and they're very keen to have us. We also find that we discuss our availability in the light of what's going on in our, quite busy church life as well, and try and get it all to sort of dovetail in. I have got some slides to show you. And the first sort of 3 slides or first 4 slides actually, are how we do our planning. Now, I've no idea how you do our planning. If you could show the next slide, Naomi, thank you, the second slide.
Yeah.
So I think there's 2, 3, yeah, there's several like this. So we do our planning and our Christmas planning around the 4 areas that you talk about in prayer spaces. So me and others, me and the world, and me and God. So we take each of those and then we try and do sort of 4 or 5 under each of those sections. But so this page here is some ideas that we had for the me one. And again, linking in with the Christmas story or different themes. I've got some pictures in a minute, but if we just flit through that, I'll explain a bit more detail when we come to the pictures. So that's me. If you could play the next one, me and others, me and the world, and then finally me and God. We just find it helpful to sort of think and plan like that. I think some of us are quite sort of not exactly OCD, but kind of keen planners. And we like a chart, we like a table, we like to know sort of what we're doing. So if you could play them, yes. So this is one of our favourite ones. So this picture, and if you could show the next one as well. It's the same prayer space in 2 different schools, but I'll keep it on this one for the moment. So this was our Be Still. We always have a Be Still area. And this one here, it was lovely. We got a great set of wooden characters for the nativity. So we just put them on the table in the middle and had the cushions all around and these lovely backdrops. Now, we love a backdrop, and I will share with you where to get those in a minute, because we found they just transformed some rather dull school spaces. And also, that is a stage that was up in this school for their nativity play. So it was great. We were just able to think, rather than think, oh no, that stage is in the way, we thought, oh, actually, we could use that as our sort of quiet space. And this was one of the most powerful of the spaces, really, we found, because the children just loved engaging with the characters, talking about what they knew about the Christmas story. Our helpers were able to sort of ask open questions about, what do you know, or what do you think, or what did this character do? And we had a few books around as well. And it was just a lovely way for the children to just be calm and think. So that was one of our favourite ones, I think, although it's really quite simple on many levels.
Did they just come up and sit on the...
Yes, they came and sat on the cushions and those little rugs around those low tables and just looked at the characters and, just quietly and talked. We definitely needed at least one helper there to just, facilitate some conversation.
Brilliant.
But yeah, it was lovely. Okay, so the next one, this was one called Christmas Journeys. Let me just see what that one was. Yes, that was thinking about life's a bit like a journey, and they had to just think about that. But again, really, this is just showing another of those backdrops and how it could transform quite a sort of a simple looking space. Could you go on to the next one? This one was great. This was Christmas Christmas joy. And again, we had a volunteer with this one, and they talked to the children about joy and about things about Christmas that make them happy, and just think about those things. And they were making stars out of bits of paper. It made quite a mess, all the cutting out, but they really loved it. Yeah, and the next one. Now, this one, in a minute, I'm going to say one of my top tips is create a wow moment. I wish I had a better picture. The team will be thinking, why is she showing that one? Because you can't see what's inside. But inside that little black cube tent is a wooden angel that is all lit up, and that Joey's husband made us, actually. And the idea is that, they go inside, and of course it is a bit of a wow when they get in there and see that. And asking them the question, what would you do if an angel appeared to you? That was very popular, and they enjoyed that one.
Did they write their responses, or was it just a reflective moment where they thought inside, or did they?
No, I think they just chatted to the helper, Jackie, who's on the call. I don't think they wrote anything, did they, for that?
It just was a pen.
No, I don't think they did.
No, it was just a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, because we tried to do it one by one, because otherwise it was just chaos.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were able to have those really good conversations.
Yeah, so that was lovely. And then the next one was a one in Me and My World, thinking about Jesus being born in poverty. Obviously, that's the link to the Christmas story. But again, thinking about being homeless and refugees. And that one, they're writing little luggage labels. That's a little bit of orange card made into a tent and a few bits of hessian. So nothing fancy. And then the last one. Now, one of our team who's not on the call tonight, but she made this, and this is a lovely is a stained glass nativity picture made out of some sort of acetate, but they had to put a tea light behind it, obviously a battery operated one. And it was all about Jesus being the light of the world and Jesus being our hope. But one of the things I was asked to talk about was story, and there is a story connected with this, because there was one particular class, one school we went to, and the teacher just kept coming back and looking at this. And I say the picture is okay, but in real life it was quite effective. And she just kept saying, I'm really moved by this. I found this is really beautiful. I'm finding it really helpful just to think about this. And so that was great. So we were sort of praying for her afterwards, just thinking, well, if she goes away thinking Christmas is not just the wrapping and the Christmas tree, but Jesus is the light of the world. So that was one of our good stories to do with that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things about prayer spaces, isn't it? You never know what's going on the inside.
No.
And people
This was a teacher. This is not the children. So
exactly.
You don't know the impact.
It affects the whole school community. I guess that's the beauty as well of God, isn't it? That he can encounter everyone just how they need, just when they need it, more than our words could ever. So never underestimate what's going on in a space.
Yeah. So that's the end of my pictures. But if I could just share a few top tips that I thought of.
Please do.
So black cloth, you probably noticed in a lot of those pictures, black cloth. We are the queens of black sheeting, black curtaining, and big clips. So whichever classroom or space we go into, we just tend to cover it with black cloth. So if you don't do that already, we found that's really transformative, especially if you go into a really messy place, a messy classroom. It's great to have that. Fairy lights and batteries, endless supplies. The nativity backdrops. Now, if you just go to Temu or to AliExpress, sorry, these are probably not terribly ethical sources because they do come from China, but they are very cheap and they are very effective, all those nativity backdrops. We've also got some for Easter and just other sort of general ones. So I don't know, could one of my team write in the chat about where to get those? As I say, it's AliExpress or Temu. And what's the other thing? Oh, create a wow moment. I always think when we do our planning, we sort of say, what's going to be something? Well, the children are often very impressed by everything, but it is lovely to have something that is really wow. And so we try to aim for that. The other thing that has been key for us is prayer. Top tip, pray. Joey has been a great gatherer of us to pray for our work and for these schools. And I would say that's why I think we've had the openings and the opportunities. So I would definitely say get a team, even if it's people who don't actually want to come into school. The other thing is, well, I do have a teaching background myself, and I'm a bit of a thing. Are we just using too many post-its? Everything we plan, we look through and we think, how many of our spaces are using post-its? And we do try to be sort of quite kinesthetic. So just thinking whether you've got writing things, drawing things, cutting out things, creating, whether we're creating doves or flowers, Play-Doh, a Feely box. We've done quite a lot with the reconciliation zips, pulling the zips up, things that are not just writing. So I always find that really important. And I think that's me done.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Caroline. A whistle-stop tour of excellence, from making sure you have all the relationship styles for response, creative styles, writing styles, reflective styles, and most importantly, making space in schools with wow moments. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to use the chat. We can scoop them up at the end. I will also pop in the chat just about our resource library that Caroline mentioned, and the relationship styles as well that she mentioned. But for now, we're just going to hand back over to Tim.
Great. That was so helpful. All sorts of helpful hints and tips there, I think, for any prayer space that you're doing, particularly you say black sheets and bulldog clips. And we're a big fan of magnetic hooks. If you just magnetic hooks, you can, if you've got a suspended ceiling in the classroom, those metal strips that hold the ceiling tiles up are steel, and you can use magnetic hooks to hang all sorts of things on the ceiling, and they're quite small. So even if some child pulls one off somehow, it's not going to cause too much injury. Meanwhile, so we were thinking very much, I think, about primary schools, isn't it? Is that right, Caroline? Your team are working pretty much exclusively in primary schools. And so it's a great joy for me, because my work has only been for secondary schools, to chat to George from Abergavenny. George, welcome. Thank you so much for giving up your evening to help us out with this Prayer Spaces session. Well, you're from Abergavenny, but what are you involved in? How are you involved in schools and in Prayer Spaces?
So I work for the Salvation Army. My job title is Divisional Youth Specialist. So I oversee and support youth work for the Salvation Army across Wales. And then part of my kind of frontline practitioner work is I run a mentoring project called Starfish in our local high school, which is one-to-one mentoring referred by the wellbeing team. And that's been going for 4 years now, and we're very much kind of part of the life of school, even to the point where I'm now part of the staff football team. I consider part of the wellbeing team as much my colleagues as the ones that I sit in the office in Cardiff when I'm there. And so it really came out of that relationship with the school, where we kind of go in, and there's been 2 to 5 mentors of any given time. And it was thinking about how can we expand how we serve the school, and a prayer space for Christmas was suggested as a good opportunity, and they went for it. Right. And so we did it for a week, 5 days in one school. where we mentor, and it's very much kind of an addition rather than, it's not the main thing that we do. It's an extension of our relationship with the school. And so we've done a Christmas one, and we've done a one in February for Children's Mental Health Week. So they've kind of been linked to something specific, and the resources are really great for that, because you can sort by topic, and we used the same framework that was already mentioned about the kind of me and others, me and the world, and so we also used that framework to make sure we were kind of a balanced approach to response.
So, what sort of prayer space? So you're working in a secondary school or secondary schools? Is it the one school?
Just one for in terms of prayer spaces.
And is it a community school, or is it does it have is it a church school?
It's not a church school.
No.
In terms of context, one of my colleagues, Ange, has been she's a centre manager for a youth drop-in ecumenical partnership in town, and she would say she'd been praying to get into this school for well over a decade, and it was a tough place to get in, and then when we had this starfish project, that opened the door, and they bit our hands off at that. And so that was the way in, and then it just comes through building relationships to kind of be at other things, part of the school, part of the being in Wales, being part of the Eisteddfod, being part of community fairs, school sports day, things like that. So just becoming kind of part of the furniture, really.
I just think that's such a great example, and we often say to people that the first approach is, how can we help you? How can we serve you as a school, as people from your local community? And it just sounds like that has opened doors to you in all sorts of ways. So
yeah, we haven't done a single assembly. yeah.
So there's many ways in, but the number one way is to offer to serve the school. So Christmas, what have you done around, because this hasn't been like a classroom space where you have classes coming in, is it? What sort of prayer space have you run? What did you set up?
So we acquired someone's old office, so it was very small and intimate, and I've got some photos I can take you through the journey. But ultimately, just to give a kind of overview, it started with just break times. That was the idea. So I'll share my screen. So this is the poster we did, and we plastered it round school. So Starfish is the name of our mentoring program, so they'd be familiar with that. Christmas Calm Space this week only. We put it on there. Twitter was a thing back then, and we were on it, and the school was using Twitter, so we put it on there, and it went out to all the form tutors so that they would announce it in registration in the morning that we would be open. That's how it started. That was the plan. And then the first day, no one came in, not a single soul. They all walked past this wonderful doorway, and no one set foot in. And we thought, right, how can we get the word and mouth out? And we sat and we prayed, and we'd spent a couple of hours, two of us, making it the space it was, and so it became, we went out marauding to speak to youngsters that we knew, and it became more than just the breaks, but it became linking with the hub. So most secondary schools have a hub, which is a place where, if young people are struggling a bit in their lessons with their particular subjects, they can get a pass and go to the hub, and it's kind of a bit more of a calmer space for some. They might be able to work on Chromebooks, and so we decided that part of our wellbeing team that we work with referrals for the mentoring, to go, well, would some for this period from the hub like to join us in the Christmas Calm Space? So we would then walk half a dozen or so over, and they would come for an hour and they'd go back. And then that became kind of routine. And then it was the pupil referral unit. So the small group of the youngsters who were really on the edge of being kicked out the door of mainstream education. And so spoke to the leader there and said, do you think your guys would want to come down at any point? One of their youngsters I'd previously mentored and so had a relationship with a teacher there. She said, oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, can we come down Wednesday morning for this slot and this slot? And so they came down for that. And it became a kind of word of mouth thing that spread from none on the first day to then there being a queue to get in. And we had, I think it was 55 through the door on the last Friday. And when you see how small the space is, it's very much, we go for the kind of calm feel, you're entering a special place. And so there's a lot of voile everywhere. We had kind of pins to notice boards. It wasn't we used some gaffer tape because they weren't new rules, shall we say. So we had tables around all the edges, and then fairy lights galore. The prayer space in school is our kind of light up sign. And then it's kind of very much self-reflection. No kind of talking from us other than welcome, have a look. We had the instructions from yourselves that we just created, just adapted to look all the same. And then we used these tiny Advent poems that are spread throughout, something that Engage Worship produced.
They are
and
brilliant.
I've got a link. They're brilliant. Yeah. I've got a link to share with you. So we had those 1 to 25 throughout the room. We had this little kind of Narnia feel shelving unit there. Christmas tree was a great addition. Cheap to pick up. Even came with its own lights embedded, compact to pack down. And again, trying to grasp those different ways to respond, whether it's creatively Sharpies writing stuff down or colouring in Christmas decorations. We had the black cards. You can see a kind of scratch card, so they release the silver behind it and catches the light really nicely. The map, that was OS maps that I painstakingly took screenshots and stitched together in order to make it our local town and catchment area of the school to get on there. So thankfully we can reuse that because that took a while. And then a light projector. So that changes. That's you can put different color schemes on the roof. And so we have an array of cloths and curtains from Ange, my colleague. She's run 24/7 prayer rooms in her youth drop-in for decades. So she's very much the kind of resources guru and says, well, what color scheme should we go for this one, George? She's got that much stuff, and we put cloth all over the tables, Christmas wrappers, different things for people to engage with. But we kind of left it to them. Those look really effective. The wrapping your own boxes, that was a bit of prep in terms of wrapping them so that people could say what their gift was, their value. And the water beads, if you don't use these, then these need to be part of every single one. These are what got people in the room. Right. They found out about these water beads, orb beads, jelly beads, whatever you want to call them. And again, a little bit of prep in the fact that they start off minute and you have to put them in water overnight and they expand to that size. And that real kind of sensory thing, that's what spread through school. But also you've got to be mindful they don't take them out. Because that was one of the lessons learned is I ended up hoovering water beads up from the foyer round the corner where people end up putting them down each other's backs and chucking them around. So lessons learned. But yeah, so there's the QR code to get the tiny Advent poems. if you want to scan, you can download them for free. And so that's kind of the whistle stop tour. We had bean bags in one area. We've had egg timers are quite good for if it's self-reflection and be still, to have that kind of singular person to be able to see how long they want to kind of pause. But yeah, so I mean that was how we've worked it. Very kind of small and intimate, like I said. And then the other thing to add is a Bluetooth speaker that's either got really good battery or you can got plug sockets to power it in for some reflective music whilst they're in, so it's not silence, can be quite awkward. So yeah, that's my kind of whistle stop.
So you ran, how many times have you run this? Was this a one-off, or have you done this?
So we've just done the Christmas one once, and we've done the children's mental health week once, and then the school has been through a building change, so we've not been able to go back in, and the office that wasn't used then became used. So we're now exploring where we might be able to do one this Christmas in the new build, and if there's a space that we can take over.
And what, just kind of finally, I suppose, what was the reaction of students and staff to it? And finally, do you have a favourite story from that week?
So yeah, so I mean the funny but frustrating thing was the amount of people that walked past on that first day and went, "Wow, this is amazing! I'd love to come in there." And we're like, "Well, come in then," or "I'd love a space like this for the staff." And we're like, "You can come in as well." And so they kind of loved it, and were kind of surprised almost when we said that it's only up for this week only, because it's obviously taken a lot of effort to make it look that special. So they definitely felt special. And so our kind of story of the week, really, I guess, is how we also have a detached street-based youth work project that Ange runs, and the one story that happened during the week was that some of these lads that she knew from that kind of came, they knew her, and so came in, and she got the opportunity to pray with two of those lads that she'd never prayed with in the street, in her street-based stuff, but they felt the sense of awe and wonder and that special place in that little office that we'd taken over. And so then you fast forward 4 days, and their Friday night street outreach, they had over 50 youngsters there, whereas normally on a very kind of peak day would be 20. And usually if there was more than 20, they'd usually be aggro. And there'd usually be a bit of atmosphere. Whereas that night with 50, everybody was getting along. Police came over, the PCSOs, expecting trouble, and they were welcomed in, and could feel the difference of the space that night. Wow. And so that was a real win and a real blessing for that team to kind of feel the effects of the Christmas space throughout the week.
It's amazing that sort of the knock-on effect led out into those young people's lives outside the school, beyond the school as well. That's brilliant. George, thank you so much. Just there's lots that you've shared that's inspired me, and I trust has inspired others. What we're going to do is just take about 10 minutes, 10 or 12 minutes out in breakout rooms. So we'll divide you all up. Introduce yourselves and use this as an opportunity to see if there are any questions that you have for any of our speakers tonight, or just to hear some stories and learn a bit from others in the room that maybe run prayer spaces. Use this as a great opportunity to chat with others about prayer spaces in schools and how they work, and how you might be able to do them where you are.